Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Marketing and Business Show. My name is Peter Langan, and as always, I'm here joined by Alex. Alex, how are you doing?
Good, mate. I'm hoping that my audio is coming through like so crisp that it's almost making you jealous, because we've had this like little running debate. Peter actually bought me a microphone, which if you listen to some previous episodes, you probably heard about that. But I never even opened the box that he sent me and went completely against the recommendations that he said. And I got this little piece, which is a Blue Yeti. So I'm hoping my audio quality is now top notch for our podcast going forward. And anyway, Peter, what are we going to talk about today? Because we literally have just pressed record.
Yes.
Real ad hoc episode. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think, Alex, because we are now in 2023, which is our first episode of 2023, we started with quality, and I think we need to just reflect on the year that was 2022. What do you think?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, let's just riff on like how 2022 was. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. So, well, actually, it's literally just jumped into my mind. 2022 kind of started with us. We went to Denmark.
We did go to Denmark.
Yeah, that was actually the beginning of 2022. It's hard to believe that's over a year ago. We were helping a client.
Surely that wasn't over a year ago.
Yeah, it was January, was it not? Or February?
Well, either way, it was cold when we were there, and it was near enough a year, if not. But yeah.
Yeah. We were doing the seawater swimming.
Oh yeah, we actually went in the most. That was ridiculous, but it was actually quite refreshing, and I kind of wish I'd kept that up, to be honest with you, because I do get a big benefit from cold water exposure.
So the Danes are big into jumping into cold water, and we were kind of like, yeah, we'll do it. So we run down there, and literally the water thermometer was like 2 degrees. That's all I remember. And I was like, it just literally, you get in and your brain stops working.
It like panics, doesn't it? Like your brain, your whole body goes into this sense of like, oh my god, I'm going to freeze to death. Then
what am I doing this for?
Yeah, and then you have to kind of turn everything inwards and like focus on trying to calm your breathing down. And then I think the longer you stay in, obviously you can't stay in for too long, but anyone who's listened to this has done cold water exposure and breathing stuff like Wim Hof stuff before. You'll know how beneficial it is. But if you can get past that initial shock of being like cold or freezing, then like the benefits are unbelievable. Like when you get out, like from past experience, like I've not done a cold water dip for ages. We actually have a really cold river right behind the house, which there's quite a few people that actually do cold water in the morning.
Seriously?
Now, which is quite cool. Yeah, literally, like in the Tweed, it's mental. But like the benefits when you get out, like I almost feel like almost like more alive, more awake, like. My focus is there. I've got clarity on like what I'm doing or what I'm focused on. So yeah, it's good. It's good, but it's a hard habit to get into, to do that every single day. Because like your instinct once you've done it once is like, I don't want to do this again. So you have to almost just build that resilience and keep doing it until it becomes like a habit. I actually have a friend.
I remember you ran and jumped in. I
just get it done. Like I can't do that. I just literally have to do like a countdown in my head, like 3, 2, 1, and go. Because then I find my brain doesn't have any time at all to try and back out of it. No. And then it has to just deal with the consequences of whatever I've decided to do.
I suppose literally when you jump, you can't back out of any of it. You're going one way, which is into the water.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the other guys that were there, they jumped in as well, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, one guy did, one guy didn't. But no, definitely, I went with the steps. But I kind of like that cool. It's just like you just keep walking into it, and it is cold. But nonetheless, that's how 2022 started. 2023 hasn't started like that just yet, but there's still time.
2023 is off to a heater.
Pardon?
2023 is off to a heater.
Off to a heater. So I have started off. Actually, I wrote some things down here. So I don't know if this is in any particular order. So I want to talk about, first of all, things that I've learned. And maybe, Alex, you can share some things you've learned in 2022. And then I want to just kind of talk about like some of the goals I kind of have for 2023. Nothing too like I have goals I've kind of like in my head, but I'm not. I want to just sort of share some quick ideas here on this podcast. So let me see. And I wrote these a few days ago, so I'll be reminding myself of what I've learned. Okay, so don't delay. That's something I've written down here, is don't delay and waiting on one client. So I think what I mean by that is don't put everything on the shoulders of one client. That's my thought from 2022.
Yeah, totally. I mean, goes without saying, doesn't it? I mean, if you've only got one source of income, one anything that you're relying on, especially from a business standpoint, if that gets pulled from underneath you, or a client decides they don't want to work with you anymore, unfortunately, then you just like cut a big income source from whatever you're doing. So
completely.
Yeah, I think it's
what I'm kind of trying to get at with this is that sometimes like we can try to be over delivering for one client or for a client, but then when you're waiting for that client and you're trying to get them like to respond and come back to you, that can really slow your business down, because if you're waiting for something to happen and then the next thing and the next thing, and there's no real momentum with that. So it's kind of like, just go for it. What's holding me up now? Move forward very quickly and just keep that momentum going, and don't allow that one client to kind of either try and help that one client or only having one client. Don't let them slow you down. Does that make sense? That's kind of what I'm trying to get at.
I almost think like the way I think of it is, and in fact, this is kind of like one of my learning lessons from this year from building out my own personal brand and doing the stuff that we've been doing together. Like, the more, it's going to sound so simple, but like the more fishing rods you have in the water, the more chance you have of catching the fish. So like when that comes to momentum and achieving something, whatever it is, you just have all these little things in action, and you've obviously then got more chance of somebody replying to your message, or a project taking off, or somebody taking the next step in something. So yeah, I think that's probably been a big takeaway for me, actually. Almost like you said, not relying on one client or one income source or one anything.
We hinted at that in a previous episode. Like the correct school of thought is, and I don't know if there's a correct school of thought really, but a school of thought would be that, concentrate on one thing. And a lot of people say until you make $1 million. Now, I haven't made $1 million, so I can't really relate on that. But they say until you make $1 million, concentrate on one thing. But I think for some people, they need to be doing a few different things. It's kind of like the sum of all the parts equal the whole. So it's kind of like, in order to learn and to grow, one needs to be doing multiple little projects. But then they all kind of morph together in a way, I think. That they all come together to create that overall project. If there's that's kind of where I'm kind of thinking about this.
Totally, yeah. That kind of actually relates to something I'm studying at the minute. I haven't actually been doing too much copywriting for the past few months. Like, that's what my background is, like a copywriter. I did mainly freelance copywriting for the past like 5 or 6 years. And I took a step away from it last year just because I was just burnt out by it and maybe just needed a change in direction on what I was actually writing about. But in the last month or so, I actually came across another mentor, a guy called Dan Coy. And
You've mentioned
he's very much about building a one-person business. So like making yourself the brand, productizing yourself, talking about your interests and building like products and digital stuff around that. And I actually invested in one of his courses, which is like a writing course. It's not like doesn't teach you anything about technical writing. It more teaches you a content ecosystem to help you come up with ideas for writing and structuring that. But in what I'm going through at the minute in some of his training, he talks about having 3 main areas of interest. So you have your domain of mastery, which is like the thing that will make you money. Then you have something that is like an interest, and then something that you are actively excited about studying. So there's 3 kind of like pillars or 3 topics that you're interested in studying about. And they kind of all like merge together, like you were just saying then. Like you could focus on one thing, like say when it comes to like what we're doing, we could focus on like I don't know. Let's just say it's like audience growth. We could be doing this podcast, for example, or we could be putting posts out on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever. But they're all kind of like everything's kind of interconnected when you take a step back, and it's all very unique to the person or the business or the entity or what's. That's kind of. I think I went off a bit of a tangent, but like everything is connected.
Absolutely. I think sometimes it's funny that when one starts something, it kind of leads somewhere they never really expected. So actually, that client we were helping in Denmark, that happened. We became connected with them because I sent an email, actually, I remember, to that company, and they had filed a trademark. Note to anyone out there looking for companies with like new products to work with, just go to the Trademark Journal and send emails to them. So I sent an email to them, they replied, and we started chatting, and now actually one of the people that used to work there we're good friends with and work on different projects with. And that was just like a series of unconnected or unforeseen kind of events. So you're absolutely right, Alex. So I completely agree. And that's kind of what I've learned this year. It's kind of like, don't try to make everything perfect. Don't try and, find the thing. Just kind of do the thing, do the stuff, and it'll all come together. Again, another thing I wrote down here, and this is a learning from this year, is undervalue my services. So basically, like, don't undervalue what we do. I think it's so easy for me, for you, thinking, oh, you know what, that's easy. Why would someone pay for that? Or like, I can't charge that much for whatever the product or service is. But the reality is, if you're providing that value to the client, and they're willing to pay you because they can't do it or can't get access to that information anywhere else or that data, man, like, of course you can charge. And you have to charge
100%.
properly for what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that's something that
100%.
me and you kind of struggled with for a time, is like learning how to charge properly.
Yeah, definitely. And still go through like some phases of like wondering. There's almost like imposter syndrome, like wondering if what we're offering is like worth the value that we're charging for it. And most of the time, pretty much all the time, it is for sure. But for some reason in my head,
Yeah, it is.
For some reason in my head, I'm like, oh no, it's not. Like we can't charge that much for it, or this, that, and the other. But if a client is getting a deal out of it and it's helping them grow, and they're getting way more in return than what we're charging them for it, then it just becomes a no-brainer. That's what we've been trying to be focusing on this last couple of months, trying to create offers that are like complete no-brainers for clients.
Completely. And actually, it's funny. There was a client, me and you were chatting about it earlier on today, or chatting about them, sorry. And we charged them a fee. And, like, it's not a small fee. It was a couple of thousand and per month. And what was brilliant about that was that we actually went into their business. We charged that fee along with someone else. And ended up that what we did in their business actually paid for our services and then some. So we literally cost them nothing. And I think that's the beauty. That's a no-brainer offer. And once we were able to articulate that on an Excel sheet or a Google sheet, it was like they couldn't but invest. And they got what they wanted. Our services cost them nothing. Their business is now improved. It's actually trending better all the time. And voila. If every business deal could be like that, you'd have unlimited clients.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that client in particular, I remember actually, we jumped on a phone call with them at first and they were a bit hesitant to work with us because they couldn't see the value that we were offering. And it wasn't until we literally drew it out in front of them and said, look, right, if we implement this, this is how much money you will save, which was more than what we were charging. So then it becomes literally, well, an absolute no-brainer. If you decide not to work with us, then you are literally losing money.
Throw money down the drain. And, it's going to cost us anyway.
I mean, how long we've been working with that client for now? Maybe 3 months, and
2 or 3
results
months.
just seem to be getting better and better. So, like, we're just working with them on their Amazon business on paid advertising. So, helping them like make better use of their advertising spend, and just bringing them in more money every month, which is amazing to see. And it's even better when they come back to us every month and tell us that they're happy, and we show them results and stuff. So. Just creates that real long-term relationship with the client.
A long-term kind of relationship. The way you kind of want to work with every client. The third thing I've learned this year, and I think you'll completely agree, Alex, and again, like a lot of these are shared learnings anyway, the power of connectors.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Like, so what we've discovered is by having the right connector in place, that like a lot of our clients we've got now, like in every aspect of our business, has been through connectors. we actually haven't went out and found a new client in a long time because we haven't had to. Like, there's always been someone saying, well, look, here, work with these guys. They're good. They'll help you in this, that, and the other. And that's been absolutely brilliant for us. And so now, I think now moving into 2023, it's just about doubling down on those connectors and actually like making sure they're looked after, and we provide like the best service to their clients, which then become our clients.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the system we've actually got set up, which is it's pretty cool actually. I mean, like it almost reduces. I mean, at the minute it's still kind of in the foundational stage, so we've literally just built the offer and like lined everything out and stuff. But the way it works is it reduces our need to do outbound marketing. So because we're working with connectors with a no-brainer offer, and our connectors actually earn money from the results that we get as well, they're almost like inclined to want to find more clients for us. So you can just see how this spider webs out, and just we don't need that many people to work with to have a really good base of clients who like get amazing results, love working with us. It's just like a thumbs up all around.
Absolutely, and that's you're talking about the data business that we're kind of building as well, like which is probably a business I'm probably the most excited about for 2023 because the potential is just absolutely enormous and it's so powerful. But I think I want to actually dig into that in another episode because, to be honest with you, we could talk about that for weeks and weeks on end. But I think it's definitely important to give an episode just to that, because a lot of people listening here wouldn't have heard us talk about that just yet. And actually, bear in mind, Alex, I want to say, I was talking to a lot of people over Christmas and the New Year's, and they were like, "Oh, I was listening to your podcast."
That's really cool. That's cool. I mean, I think when you told us you wanted to do a podcast, I'm all up for it because I do like talking about this, talking about our passions and like.
Do you like talking about yourself?
I like talking about what we're up to and like ideas and stuff, but I feel a podcast is like. I feel a podcast is something that we do for the long term. I mean, it's kind of the good thing about podcasts is it's fairly low commitment. Like, I mean, there's no editing at all. Like, we're using some software that literally just uploads it straight to a podcasting platform. So compared to video creation, it's amazing, and it just gives us like the freedom just to talk about what we're doing, and then hopefully that snowballs over time, and more people listen to us, and then just know where it's going to go.
And we get better at talking.
Yeah, and not talking over each other.
The podcast might get more interesting. Yeah, well, I think that's the internet, Alex. We'll have to work on your...
Yeah, probably is the internet. And yeah, we'll definitely have more interesting stuff to talk about.
100%. So for 2023, these are my goals now. So that's kind of like 2022 with a few wee goals stuck in there. Compounding vehicles, which the data certainly is. Like that's probably my most powerful compounding vehicle. But I do really like Amazon as well. So I like just kind of always keep that kind of ticking along, working away on it because I just like it. But definitely identify compound vehicles, and then just build in my daily routine. So goals would be continue with the gym. I'm really enjoying that. I think headspace with going to the gym is so powerful. And you were telling me to start doing weights and all that, do this like the strength training before the running, which I have actually started. I did that yesterday, and I did it today, and did it before I left. So I was in London for the weekend, and that's been pretty cool. And I'm just really enjoying that and doing that. It's kind of your inspiration to me to kind of. I was always doing a bit of running, but you were kind of like, you should go to the gym. You should go to the gym. So definitely, that is something that I love, and I want to just continue in 2023, and also definitely go over and actually go to one of those. What are they called? Gym sessions with you. What are they called?
CrossFit.
What type of gym session do you do?
CrossFit.
CrossFit. Yes, do a CrossFit session with you guys, and then just continue like building goals. I'm reading a book at the moment, which I'd recommend to everyone. I've read it before numerous times, but now I'm actually really concentrating on it, which is called Psycho-Cybernetics. It's kind of like the original kind of like, I don't want to say self-help because it's not help I'm looking for. It's kind of like self-improvement, I would say. It's like the original self-improvement book out there.
Yeah. I've actually...
So...
I don't think I've actually read that book, ironically. I think either that or I think actually, no, I think I've listened to it on an audiobook. I haven't actually read it.
I'd recommend. It's just like it's one like you just keep refollowing and keep going with, and just every time you pick it up, you just take something different from it. But I'm trying to implement it into my life as well, into my daily habits, because that's how you build, and that's a compounding vehicle, I suppose. Everything compounds, as we said in previous episodes. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. What is your kind of rounding this episode up? What would your thoughts be on 2022/2023?
I would like to build a number of different income, like work on a number of different income vehicles. More for my own, like, just for my own sanity, I guess, or my own growth. Yeah, since finding this new mentor, or like since diving into more stuff about building like a one-person business, and obviously the stuff that we've been working on, you kind of, I don't know if you just get stuck in a rut with certain things. I just feel that depending on, like, for example, you reading Psycho-Cybernetics, that's like a tongue twister. Depending on when you read that, like if you read it now, if you read it at the start of 2022 and then you read it now again, I guarantee you would pull out different nuggets of like information that were useful to you because you're like at a different point in your life or business journey or whatever. And I feel that's like the same for me. So I'm actually revisiting a few books at the minute, which like actually gave me a lot of clarity years ago. And like rereading those books or re-listening to those books, those same books, you kind of like come at things from a different perspective. And that's kind of opened my mind to like all these other or new opportunities of or how to think about things which I may not have seen or come across before. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I don't really have anything specific goals like numbers to hit or anything like that. I just, as long as I can keep a consistent like growth going for a year and just have momentum. Yeah, sure, you're gonna have like ups and downs with everything you work on and stuff. Like momentum's gonna disappear and then it's gonna come back. Maybe just having the goal, like recognizing that, and then just continuing trying to find ways to create momentum, and then get back into doing things. And yeah, that's kind of like where I feel where I make the most progress in anything. So if I can do that, I'll be happy.
Brilliant. Well, there we have it. We'll hear more in January 2024 when Alex achieved said goal.
Yeah, on the momentum train.
Indeed. But here, guys, hope you're enjoying the podcast. So if you are, make sure to like it. Leave us a review if it's good. Even if it's bad, you can leave us a review as well. Just not as bad as you might otherwise do. Give us a 3-star. And make sure to subscribe. And we really appreciate that. And nonetheless, folks, it's really good chatting with you, good sharing this with you. And we'll be back again for the next episode in the not too distant future.
See ya.